Let me tell you real quickly about my kids. No, it's not going to be one of those stories. My son got an A in math. Isn't that cool? Nobody cares, buddy. Nobody cares about your kids that way. Nobody does. Nobody loves your kids like you love your kids. However, a couple things about mine. They hold doors open for people. They like quarter pounders with cheese from McDonald's. They have inappropriate senses of humor. And do you know why they do all three of those things, ladies and gentlemen? Me. They like those things because of me. Because as hard as this is for us to accept oftentimes as conservatives or libertarians or whatever it is you call yourself, leadership matters. It sucks. We oftentimes don't want it to matter, but it does matter. The things people in the public eye say and do matters. We all remember years ago those famous Charles Barkley ads where he could, I'm not a role model. And I understand what he was saying, that I shouldn't be as a professional basketball player. But look, the truth is, he was. The truth is, when a high-level senator gets on TV and speaks, people listen. When the president of the United States speaks, people listen. As much as I hate this, when some big-time actor gets up behind a microphone and speaks, people listen. People act on the things that they say. Leadership does matter. And when it comes to these leftist acts of violence and threats of violence, the truth of the matter is this. The left has to own that because it's rampant, ladies and gentlemen. It's everywhere. I mean, you do remember that minor incident that took place in June of 2017? Does this look familiar? By the way, quick side note before I get to my commentary on that. I understand that we live in the day and age where as soon as anything bad happens, people want to pull out their phones and, I got to get this on Instagram. If you're ever in a public setting and somebody is firing off with a high-powered rifle, keep your phone in your pocket and run away. Go seek cover. Put the freaking phone down. As much as I do appreciate that footage, full disclosure, do appreciate the footage. Run away. What are you doing? All right, back to what I was saying. That shooting you heard, that was when Steve Scalise almost got assassinated. He didn't just get assassinated by anybody and for any reason. He got assassinated by a Bernie Sanders supporter who did it for purely political reasons. He went to that baseball field to assassinate multiple GOP congressmen where they were there practicing for their game. That should have been a seminal moment in American politics, especially in this Trump era. That should have been a wake-up call to everybody, media pundits and politicians alike, to say, whoa, okay, clearly we need to take a step back. Clearly some people on the left are taking this stuff way too seriously. They're going to act violently on some of these things that I'm saying. I need to dial it down a notch. That didn't last for 5 seconds if it happened at all. My problem is they didn't miss a beat. When those shots were fired and Steve Scalise was hauled off in an ambulance, I don't think it was 24 hours before we had people going right back to the same dangerous, Trump's a tyrant, this is the end of the world rhetoric stuff that caused it to begin with. Right up to just recently. That's just Chuck Schumer just a few days ago.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
3 years later, ladies and gentlemen, that took place 3 years after Steve Scalise was shot. Does it look like they've dialed down the rhetoric at all? We recently had a Congresswoman Stefanik out of New York. She had a rot in hell fascist pig note, sorry for the language, that was what was on the note, on her car. Former Virginia Governor Howard Dean said, quote, I don't condone this, but as ye sow, so shall ye reap. There is no excuse for the note writer or for you You are a shame to your district and to the Democratic United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, what's really sad about that is about as bad as the condemnations of violence ever get from the left. Well, I mean, I don't condone it. I mean, but look, you shouldn't be a piece of crap. I mean, they shouldn't do it, but you had it coming. Anyway, sorry. That's what it boils down to every single time. The truth of the matter is this. I don't understand how it's not more apparent to so many. Yes, there are some people on the right who are probably a little bit too bonkers for politics. It is, however, clearly more prevalent on the left given the threats and acts of violence we've seen in just the last 3 years alone. So if you're somebody who leads that movement, how do you not look out and think to yourself, I probably should dial it down just a little bit, just scotch. But they don't. They rev it up, and they rev it up, and they rev it up, and they rev it up. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Somebody else is going to get hurt. I just brought up Steve Scalise because it was the biggest glaring example, and it happened so early in Trump's presidency. If I sat here and listed for you all the people who've been assaulted just for wearing a Trump hat in the Trump era, gosh, the show would have to be 6 hours long today. It is a serious problem. And don't write me with these, remember Charlottesville. Charlottesville had nothing to do with the right. There was a bunch of scumbag Nazis protesting against a bunch of scumbag Black Lives Matter people. And some jerk, some scumbag killed some lady. That wasn't Trump. That had nothing to do with politics at all. The left and the right both have a violence problem in the same way that LeBron James and I both play basketball. The left has a serious violence problem. You want to talk about a pandemic? It's not the Wuhan virus we should be worried about. It's these leftists and the leadership that drives them to do what they do. Hey, thanks so much for watching the first on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me, like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.